Since we'll be departing from this place today, could you please relocate? We'll also cover the $473 monthly loan. With my daughter on the way, we no longer require your assistance. All right then, please take care of everything from now on. Despite the substantial support we provided to our in-laws, they easily shifted their trust to the younger sister. As I packed my belongings at the entrance, I shared something crucial with them. By the way, there seems to be a misunderstanding. The monthly loan repayment is— As I spoke, their faces turned pale in shock. My name is Emily, a 35-year-old office worker. I've been married to Tom for 3 years. We met through a mutual friend who believed we'd be perfect for each other, and that intuition proved correct. Tom and I were drawn to each other from our first conversation. Tom felt the same, and we started dating. 2 years later, he proposed, and I happily accepted. Our families supported our marriage, and we had a wonderful wedding attended by many. After our honeymoon, we began our life together, sharing household chores and enjoying a peaceful, stress-free life. Tom, having lived alone for a long time, was a great cook, which was a huge help. We cooperated in all household tasks, and we were grateful for each other's company. 3 years passed in the blink of an eye, and our bond remained as strong as when we were newlyweds. However, a significant event occurred when Tom's father fell seriously ill. We rushed to the hospital, and after a week of tests, he was released. But concerns about a recurrence lingered. Recognizing that they might not handle another emergency, Tom proposed the idea of living together. "What if we lived together with my parents?" he suggested. It was an expected proposal, and I agreed. We quickly discussed the idea with our in-laws. "Live together?" Tom's mother inquired. "It's not a bother at all," I reassured. "Emily and I are worried about both of you." "Thank you, both of you." Our in-laws, teary-eyed and grateful, accepted our offer, reflecting their underlying anxiety. We promptly moved in with them, and the mother-in-law, understanding that both of us worked, took the lead in household chores. Thanks to her, we could focus on our jobs, and the father-in-law, now retired, spent his days resting at home, which significantly improved his health. Life was joyous, and we all got along wonderfully without any issues. However, our in-laws eventually made a certain proposal. "I've been thinking about this for a while. How would you feel about building a new 2-family house?" the father-in-law suggested. But this house isn't particularly spacious or comfortable for 4 adults. If Tom and Emily have children in the future, it'll be even smaller," the mother-in-law explained. "Considering the future, I've been thinking of building a bigger house where we can live comfortably for the rest of our lives. However, it's not something we can afford with just my savings. We will need to discuss and decide together." Tom and I were surprised by the proposal, but we thought it wasn't a bad idea. While the current in-laws' house wasn't too small, it wasn't particularly spacious or comfortable either. Long-term living there might lead to stress building up between us. Perhaps buying a new house where everyone can live comfortably is a good idea. After discussing it with Tom, we decided to go along with the father-in-law's proposal. Subsequently, the 4 of us visited real estate agencies to explore various properties. We considered making it barrier-free for our in-laws and ensuring there were plenty of rooms for future children. Ideally, the new house should be in a safe area, close to both a hospital and a train station, with easy access to grocery stores. Considering everyone's requirements, it seemed like it might be pricey. However, if we were going to live there for the rest of our lives, we didn't want to compromise too much. Every family member felt the same way, so with determination, we decided to build our dream house, even if it cost a lot. After some time, our new home was finally completed. The exterior and interior were both new and beautiful, lifting our spirits just looking at it. "This is really amazing. I can't be sick anymore. I want to stay healthy and live here for as long as possible." The in-laws expressed their joy. My husband and I were equally excited, realizing that this would be the house that would be with us for our entire lives, even when we have kids. I want to play catch in the garden and have barbecues. That sounds great. Let's make lots of family memories here. We were overflowing with excitement and joy. Living in the house turned out to be truly comfortable, and it felt like the pinnacle of happiness. Being in a comfortable home made me even more enthusiastic about my work. Subsequently, my work went very smoothly, and both my public and private lives were fulfilling. I genuinely felt grateful for buying this house. The months passed in the blink of an eye, and 2 years had passed in this house. We continued to have a good relationship with our in-laws as always, believing that the days ahead would be filled with happiness. However, at least in this place for life in our new home, something unexpected happened. It was when the sister-in-law and her husband visited our new house. While this really is a nice house, it's not fair that only you guys get to live here. What are you talking about? We discussed and decided to buy this house with our parents. But I can't help but feel envious. When we were still living in a cheap winter, it feels like you're living beyond your means. The sister-in-law often visited our house during holidays and always expressed her envy. Every time, she would accuse us of being unfair. We've been paying the mortgage for this house, and it's quite a hefty amount every month. We're living within our means, earning enough to pay for this house. So there's no reason for her to complain. If we were to live here with the in-laws, it would be so much fun, don't you think? What? Can you even afford the mortgage for this house? My husband and I exchanged a glance. The sister-in-law probably just blurted out without giving it much thought. However, her careless words started to move my in-laws' hearts. It would be lovely if Kana could move and live here together. Yes, it would liven things up. Hey, what are you two talking about? Haven't we been living together all this while? Come on, I was just saying. Exactly. There's no need to panic, right? Ha ha ha. While the in-laws tried to brush it off, it was evident that they were enticed by the idea of living with the sister-in-law. The in-laws seemed to have a particular affection for her, even more so than for Tom. She is a beauty with delicate features and looks like a doll from her childhood. Being 4 years younger than Tom and born when the in-laws were older, they doted on her even more. This pampering led her to become quite spoiled, and Tom had to deal with her demanding nature. Having heard all this from Tom, I was always wary of my sister-in-law. For a while after we got married, Tom and I were both caught off guard because she didn't seem to be giving us any trouble. However, recently, she has been increasingly eyeing our new house. It seems she frequently visits the house during the day when we're at work. Oh, Emily, you're back. Then I'll be leaving now. Huh. I wish you'd stay a bit longer, but Tom and Emily might find it inconvenient. I don't think it's a nuisance. You might say that, but it's evident in your eyes and behavior. Unwanted guests should leave quickly. See you, Mom and Dad. Take care. When the sister-in-law left, the in-laws were visibly upset. They looked as if they wished she stayed longer. Even though they didn't voice their feelings, their faces and attitudes spoke volumes. Feeling out of place, I usually retreated to my room after work. When Tom came home, we head to the living room for dinner. The atmosphere around the dinner table grew more and more tense, with longer silences. Tom began to notice the change and started to realize that the sister-in-law was the cause. Around the time our relationship with the in-laws started to deteriorate, the sister-in-law finally made her move. One holiday, Tom and I went shopping in the morning. When we returned, there were unfamiliar shoes at the entrance. We exchanged glances, wondering if something was amiss. Then, the mother-in-law approached us from the living room. You're finally back. We need to talk. The mother-in-law's tone was different than usual. As we entered the living room, the sister-in-law and her husband were there. Ah, you're finally here. Kana, what's going on? From today, we'll be living here, so please leave. What? Tom and I were taken aback by her sudden declaration. What is she thinking, moving in today? Hold on, it's ridiculous to say that all of a sudden. It's not sudden. We've discussed this with Mom and Dad for a long time. the sister-in-law replied confidently. Is it true you discussed this with them? Tom and I knew the in-laws were swayed by the sister-in-law's words, but we had no idea things had progressed this far. Kana and her husband said they'll take care of us from now on. I'll do the housework and even care for you when needed. Please rely on us, Mom and Dad. If our daughter is here, we don't need you anymore. A daughter-in-law who doesn't do housework or have children is no match for Kana. What? I was deeply hurt by their words. Seeing my shocked face, the sister-in-law smirked. We'll pay the $473 monthly loan. Okay. Huh? $473? It's a great deal to live in such a nice house for that. Tom and I were dumbfounded. The in-laws were already planning to kick us out. After such treatment, we couldn't continue living there. Is that settled? We can't leave immediately. Could you give us at least a week? We need to find a new place. Fine. Ah, you're looking forward to living with Kana and her husband from today. The in-laws looked disappointed the sister-in-law, but she and her husband were extremely happy that we decided to leave. Calm down, Mom and Dad. The house isn't going anywhere. I'm looking forward to a week from now. The in-laws and the sister-in-law's family were thrilled to drive us out. Did Tom and I seriously consider co-living with such people? We quickly arranged to view rental properties and moved out within a week. The day to leave our home arrived. Please take care of everything from now on. Don't ever get involved with us or come to this house again. Their words were harsh. We had supported the in-laws so much, and they switched allegiance so easily. Now we can finally live with Mom and Dad in this house. Living comfortably in this house with Kana is like a dream. We got rid of the nuisance after all. Our in-laws and sister-in-law kept insulting us until the last minute we were leaving. Little did they know they would face repercussions after this. Well, it's none of our business anymore. As I gathered our belongings and approached the entrance, I shared an important piece of information. Oh, by the way, it seems there's a misunderstanding about the monthly mortgage payments. It's $1,825 every month, okay? Make sure you understand that. What? Isn't the loan just $473 a month? At my words, their faces turned pale all at once. Hold on a second. Isn't the loan just $473 a month? You misunderstood, didn't you? This house is under our father's name, so the loan is contractually agreed to be paid off through a debit from Dad's account. Emily and I were planning to live in this house for the rest of our lives, so we told him he wouldn't have to pay. We were bearing all the costs. So I was transferring $473, and Emily was transferring $1,352 to our father's account every month. I guess Father only remembered how much Emily puts in his account each month. Moreover, we split the living expenses equally. Our parents probably never thoroughly checked the cost and assumed it wasn't a significant amount. What? No way. We can't pay $1,825 a month. We can't even cover the living expenses on top of that. How can Emily afford to contribute so much? I don't know how you perceive me, but I'm department head at a major corporation. I earn quite a lot. What? Emily earns much more than I do. As the in-laws looked shocked, Tom continued, It's simple. In-laws were unaware of this. Well, we've decided to cut ties with you, so it's up to you to support our parents from now on. No way. Emily, Tom, wait. We were wrong. Let's live peacefully together like before, okay? What? Mom and Dad? Are you planning to abandon us? You guys can repay the loan, can't you? If that's the case, shouldn't you live with those who can? That's not fair. Dad told me the loan was only about $473. That's why we came here. We've already canceled our previous house. That's not my problem. Isn't this mess because you wanted to move in with us in the first place, right? Your husband earns very little, doesn't he? But you always said family is more important than money and pampered me. When our livelihood is at stake, all of that doesn't matter. The quarrel between the in-laws and the sister-in-law was unbearable to watch. Well, we're leaving. Wait, regardless of what you say, we will never associate with you again. With that, Tom and I left the house and moved into our rented room. Despite the numerous messages from the in-laws, we ignored them all. According to our neighbors, the in-laws and the sister-in-law's family had no choice but to live together. However, they couldn't pay the loan and eventually had to let go of the house. When they sold the house, a considerable debt remained. Even after using the father-in-law's early retirement benefits for repayment, they still fell short. Sadly, they now live in a cheap, small apartment, all working full-time and part-time jobs to repay their debt. Apparently, the sister-in-law's husband didn't want the burden to fall on him, so he ran away. If only the in-laws had continued living peacefully with us, they wouldn't have faced these hardships. But again, it's none of our concern now. On the other hand, Tom and I found our rented apartment much cozier than anticipated. We plan to stay here for a while and save money, living happily as our savings grow at an incredible rate. We believe it's essential to save as much as we can for the future while still enjoying our lives with the occasional luxury. We aim for a happy life together in the years to come.